gentlemen, Mr. Glasspole went to Parliament yesterday, and he dropped a lot of bombshells, if I'm being honest. Dropped a lot of bombshells. First thing I want to do is go to the first clip that I heard about Mr. Glasspole. You see me? Let me save this. Yeah, I want to go to the first clip of Mr. Glasspole. Out for the press. I want to listen to Mr. Glasspole, because it's very, very telling, the first stuff that them did put on. Listen to this.
Them mind make up down at Westmoreland. Them no want Moreland Wilson. Them no want Moreland Wilson. You understand?
To apply what is
also indication that we had some meetings in or around September 2017, and we haven't met again with the Portmore parish designation being a hot topic and a date set for you to really come and update or report to the committee on the 31st of May. Many believe it would be practical to do an interim, and we really want to appreciate where we are with that. When we looked back at the mandate of the committee as well, I found persons asking if we were going to have more constituencies or if we would have only 63 constituencies. And I thought it would have also been a good inclusion for the ECJ to just lay out to us where we are and what are the implications, if any, and to answer questions from members of the committee so that we are at a place of good understanding.
We were asked, or the commission was asked, based on correspondence that we received from you, Chair, to give what we regard as a clear update in terms of where we are, in terms of the instruction that we got from you. And therefore, they say to the committee that our work is guided by what is required of us in Section 67 of the Constitution. The Commission, that the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, requires us to establish an interface between the Commission and the Standing Committee of Boundary. That has been done because we have received the instruction from the committee. And we, in the interim though, we have written to the Ministry of Labour, Ministry of Local Government, to so get the new boundary for the redefined St. Catherine.
Could you repeat that? Could you repeat that sentence you have written to?
The Ministry of Labour, so local government, in order to get the new boundary for St. Catherine. Because as you would appreciate, that Portmore was a part of the old St. Catherine. So therefore, there's a new boundary description for the new St. Catherine. And that will have to be gazetted, as is per the norm with the other parishes. So we await that aspect of it. A bit better now? Okay. We have started the work in terms of the preparation, as was instructed, to apply what is known as the GIS technology. And fieldwork, we are about to embark on the fieldwork for the new boundary and generate the relevant maps. The ECJ guideline, as was agreed by the Commission, that it should be for boundary alignment, will guide the way we proceed going forward. Members, the key step involved the establishment of a formal procedure for reaching and recording agreements, along with the establishment of what is known as the Parish Boundary Forum, or in as a PBF, which will be chaired by a senior returning officer from the parish. That person will be appointed by me, the Director of Election. The PBF will be, as according to the guidelines, will be supported by a Parish Boundary Advisory Committee, in order the PBAC, which also will be chaired by a senior returning officer from the parish, appointed by me, the Director of Election. The ECJ will provide the necessary guidance and GIS technology support and electronic and paper mapping throughout the project to assist all stakeholders throughout the project. An initial meeting of the Parish Boundary Forum will be convened shortly based on the agreed structure. There's an agreed structure in the guideline in terms of the makeup of that PBF, and the Parish Boundary Advisory Committee will also be tasked to begin to conduct fieldwork, realigning the constituency boundaries, reconfiguring the electoral division, and also writing the constituency and polling division descriptions. That's a part of the fieldwork that needs to be done. So members, the the field work involves two primary objectives. First, we must investigate in the field the new St. Catherine and Portmore parish boundary. To achieve this accurately, our team will be physically walking the boundaries, accompanied by guides and key stakeholders.
When you hear that, them have to physically walk the boundary them. You don't think so this is something that can happen in 2 months? This is just one aspect of Portmore becoming a parish, you know. The process of them have to go through. I want to really pay attention to what the man is saying. You know, listen. When I heard this, I said, Portmore now become no parish. By election time, I can't tell you that. I'm sure about that. The detail of which he is speaking about. I want to listen to that again. Listen to that again.
Fieldwork involves two primary objectives. First, we must investigate in the field the new St. Catherine and Portmore parish boundary. To achieve this accurately, our team will be physically walking the boundaries, accompanied by guides and key stakeholders. And secondly, it is critical that when we do that work, we capture the GPS coordinates for the new polling division boundaries within the parishes of St. Catherine and Portmore. To establish these new boundaries, it necessitates a number of changes, and these changes encompass splits and mergers for existing polling division. It also will require the renumbering and potential renaming of St. Catherine constituencies affected by the alignment. It also will require the renumbering of associated St. Catherine electoral division, followed by the renumbering of polling divisions within those affected constituencies. And it has to be agreed upon the official naming and numbering of the 3 designated Portmore constituencies. That will be critical in terms of naming those new 3 constituencies that should remain in Portmore and the new Portmore parish. It will also, require the renumbering of those electoral divisions that now constitute part of Portmore. And finally, it will require the right.
No, we have to hear that again. This is a part of the normal. We have to hear that again. I want to listen to these people because some people think like some joke thing, this and some easy thing to change boundary. And when the man them say it's going to take 2 years, literally, it's around that time. It takes some time. So, but the JLP want to rush things, ladies and gentlemen, because them have an agenda. Allegedly. Let's read.
Parishes of St. Catherine and Portmore. To establish these new boundaries, it necessitates a number of changes, and these changes encompass splits and mergers for existing polling division. It also will require the renumbering and potential renaming of St. Catherine constituencies affected by the alignment. It also will require the renumbering of associated St. Catherine electoral division, followed by the renumbering of polling divisions within those affected constituencies. And it has to be agreed upon the official naming and numbering of the 3 designated Portmore constituencies. That will be critical in terms of naming those new 3 constituencies that should remain in Portmore and the new Portmore parish. It will also, require the renumbering of those electoral divisions that now constitute part of Portmore. And finally, it will require the writing of the polling division's description for all impacted PDs to reflect the changes agreed upon. These steps, the Commission believe, will ensure the new electoral map is accurately defined and implemented both geographically and administratively. A part of the process, Chair and members, is that both political parties will be required, both major political parties will be required to submit written proposal. Hopefully, an agreement can be reached by all members of the Parish Boundary Advisory Committee. In a case, though, where no agreement by the Parish Boundary Advisory Committee, an established procedure for accepting agreement be with a consultation between the nominated commissioners and the Director of Election. Followed after that consultation, that is assuming that no agreement is arrived at the PBAC. Following that, the preparation of final draft of realignment for submission to the PBF for signing. MPs and constituency caretakers, ROs, need to sign off on the new constituency boundaries realignment and the electoral divisions, and also the PD numbering. And this agreement, based on the guideline that we have in place and as agreed by the Commission, that both general secretaries of both parties, both major political parties, will have to sign too. These agreement or disagreement would then be submitted to the ECJ, and if accepted without any change by the Commission, then we move forward in preparing a report that will then be submitted back to your chair, as the chairman to the Boundaries Committee of Parliament. An approval of this committee, the next step will be then lead to the gazetting of the new electoral boundaries, the electoral division, the PDs, and the constituency boundaries. Once this part is agreed to, then the acceptance of the Parliament would then be sought through this committee. And then we'll proceed based on that communication that will come back from the Parliament. Then the ECJ will then proceed afterwards in terms of doing the final step of the arrangement, and that is to communicate. It is our responsibility to communicate the effective date of the realignment, after which the voters list data set will be updated to reflect the new information, the new constituencies, the new electoral division and polling division. So that it is at that stage, then we will begin to print that the list. And finally, that list will be published to all the constituencies in the parishes of St. Catherine, and by extension that of the Portmore parish. And then Portmore will be officially, based on an electoral aspect of it, be established for the electoral, guided by the electoral process. This, Chairman, is in summary, is where we are. This is they will just update the committee in terms of the approach that will be taken.
So my wisdom warriors, that is the procedure them have to follow for do all of this. So I don't know how Juliet only she want them do everything less than 2 months. Remember ECJ already tell them say it will take up to 2 years. But Juliet wellness now then just a rush because them know say they end up on the losing side, you know. Them know that. And for all the people we are talking, Mark Golding never want Portmore to become parish. Mark Golding say from the get-go, you don't have a problem with Portmore become a parish. He was saying they are not following the constitution. At that the man say. Them just a rush. You understand? Because at that them want, you know. That it look like them a wait pan for call it election. My wisdom warriors, if you not just read between the lines, them just a rush it. And then some people now won't be able to vote for the PNP. It's what I'm trying to show you now. What a lucky thing a PNP take them to court. What a lucky thing. If PNP never take them to court, rotted wall, they wouldn't do what them a do. I don't care about nobody. Remember say them not care about nothing, you know. Remember say these people don't follow constitution, you know. Remember that, you know, they don't follow laws. They don't. Them a law breaker. And them are the only people miss break law and get away with it. Them are the only people. Anyway, my wisdom warriors, may I bring on straight down in a Westmoreland, cause me see them put out something in the paper and I say how James are go work with Moreland. Remember, I know you have some people I say if them not get Moreland, them not go vote. Then the government of Jamaica came out and say how James are go work alongside Moreland, or Moreland are go work alongside James. My wisdom warriors, me tell you no say I treat them a tricky labor right, because one piece of bangarang on radio station.
Sorry about that, people. So that's what was said in a parliament. Now may I go to the article now, because the article come out by Observer where we are going to look into scene. So let me share my screen. I'll do some reading. Here it is. It says here, Portmore pass, EOJ boss give clearest indications new parish will not be in play for the next poll. Director of Election Glasspole Brown on Wednesday made it clear that it will take some time for electoral boundaries to be sorted in the new parish. According to Brown, the Electoral Commission of Jamaica EOJ, on which he is a member, is unable to give a timeline as to when the boundaries for the 15th parish and the realignment St. Catherine will be in place. Addressing Parliament's constituency boundary committee, Brown indicated that the process for the new constituencies is detailed and involved. The committee member will agree that it is a tremendous amount of work, and we, the ECJ, have just started doing our work. We have not yet agreed upon the timeline. Certainly, when we come back before the boundary committee on Thursday, on the 31st of May, we will be able to provide you a more definitive timeline when the process will be completed. He had earlier detailed the work that involved while explaining that the changes to the constituency boundaries is guided by section 67 of the Constitution. Only know so them not like the Constitution, you know. Bless up yourself, UIC Jamaica. One Jamaica stronger together. Big up. Brown told the committee that ECJ has already established an interface between it and the boundary committee, having received instructions from the committee. In turn, the ECJ has written to the Ministry of Local Government asking to be furnished with the new boundaries for the redefined St. Catherine Parish. He said relevant technology is already being applied and the fieldwork is about to commence regarding the new boundaries, which lead to the creation of relevant maps. The ECJ guidelines, as argued by the Commission, should be for boundary alignment, will guide the way we proceed going forward, said Brown. The Director of Elections explained that the key steps involve the establishment of a formal procedure. Yeah. Let me see. Formal procedure for reaching and recording agreements along with the establishment of the Parish Boundary Forum, PBF. The PBF will be chaired by a senior returning officer of the parish who will be appointed by him. The PBF, according to the guidelines, will be supported by a Parish Boundary Advisory Committee, PBAC, which will also be chaired by a senior returning officer from the parish, and a similar appointment by the Director of Elections, said Brown. You good? I want him. Yeah. Where is it? Do what you do, me there, someone. Alright, I don't know how long you stay. But she's so forward. Do what you do and come back, man. Me there, sir. What your name? The PB will be chaired by the senior returning officer from the parish who will be appointed by him. The PB, according to the guidelines, will be supported by a Parish Boundary Advisory Committee, PBAC, which will also be chaired by a senior returning officer from the parish and similarly appointed by the Director of Elections, said Brown. Only remember when Pastor Peter Chambers said that the Constitution has stand in front of Andrew Honest like a man. This is it. The Constitution, again, you know, the Constitution guides that no skull logo no go on for certain levels. Here they say, the ECJ will provide the necessary guidance and the GIS technology support as well as electronic and paper mapping throughout the process. According to Brown, the following will also be undertaken. PBF to convene shortly based on the agreed structure. The PBAC tasks to begin to conduct field work to realign the constitution boundaries, reconfigure the electoral divisions, and also write the constituency and polling divisions description. Brown explained the field work will have two primary objectives. First, we must investigate in the field the new St. Catherine and Portmore parish boundaries. To achieve this accurately, our team will be physically walking the boundaries, accompanied by guides and key stakeholders. Secondly, it is critical that when we do that work, we capture the GPS, the global positioning system coordinates for the new polling division boundaries within the parishes of St. Catherine and Portmore. The Electoral Office, the EOJ boss, said to establish these new boundaries necessitates a number of changes encompassing splits and mergers for existing polling divisions. It also will require the renumbering and potential renaming of St. Catherine constituencies affected by the alignment. It also will require to renumber the renumbering of associated St. Catherine electorate divisions, followed by renumbering the polling divisions within those affected constituencies, and it has to be agreed upon the official naming and numbering of the 3 designated Portmore constituencies. Brown said the process will also require the renumbering of the electoral division that now constitute parts of Portmore. The process will also require the writing of the description for all impacted PDs to reflect the changes agreed upon. These steps, the Commission believes, will ensure a new electoral map is accurate, defined, and implemented both geographically and administratively, said Brown. He told the committee that the 2 major political parties will be required to submit written proposal. Hopefully agreement can be reached by all members of the PBAC. Where there is disagreement, consultation will take place between the nominated commissioners of the ECJ and the director of elections. Followed that, the preparation of the final draft of our realignment for submission to the PBF for signing will take place, said Brown. He underscores that members of Parliament, MPs, and constituency caretakers will also have to sign off on the new constituency boundaries, the electoral division, and the numbering of the PDs. This agreement will then be submitted to the ECJ, and if admitted without any change by the Commission, then we will move forward with preparing a report that will then be submitted to the Boundary Committee, Brown said. If approved by the committee, the new electoral boundaries will be gazetted. People, I don't want normal process this. This now take 2 months. And that's the point. It cannot take 2 months. The ECJ will then communicate the effective date of the alignment, after which the voters list will be updated to reflect the new information. The opposition People's National Party has taken legal action to challenge which the governing Jamaican Labour Party is using to establish Portmore 15 parish. Chief Justice Brian Sykes recently ruled against the application of the injunction by the PMP and ordered that the 15 parish should not only come into operation after the completion of the procedure outlined in Section 67 of the Constitution. Both parties have claimed that the ruling supported their position. Jamaicans are expected to return to the poll this year to elect government by September. You better know that. The governing JLP is seeking a 3rd term while the PMP is seeking the first hold of power since 2016. People, all I know is this. Them get radam. No parish boundary on the line before September. It cannot work. We don't know what GPS alignment accuracy mean. The man physically have to walk the boundary them of Portmore and St. Catherine. Physically. You know how long that alone I go take to establish the boundary where them agree upon it's supposed to be. So at the end of the day, the JLP get radam. This Portmore becoming a parish thing. It now gonna work out for them in this election. And we all know why they want it so bad. It's the gerrymandering act of the ages. And then a me says so, a Warmington says so. You remember good. I try secure seat for Terry Long. Not my word, for them word. And them admit it. Understand? So don't make me know what you think about that in the comment section. Alright?